Okay. Well, everybody remembers the Jerry Springer show. Let's get more contemporary. YouTube came along. People have a way of expressing themselves. They were doing some fantastic uploads, I must say, for its time. Then, of course, it became live streaming. Actually, there was something before that. Then, developed, and there you go. You had live streaming, right? YouTube is nothing more than a Jerry Springer show. That's all it is. But although there was a lot of choreography, and there is also on YouTube, but although there was a lot of choreography with the Jerry Springer show, it did represent real life people. And that's why people relate to it. Oh, they sure did. That's why they related to it. Because people like to hear trash talk. People like to hear bullshit. Don't they? You know they do. You know you do. Don't you? You're all just as guilty. Guilty as charged. Guilty as sin. And it developed. And more channels realized that, hey, man, I can make some money on this. Come on, let's kind of accelerate the drama on here, man, because that means views and we'll be talking about algorithms, algo fucking whatever. Well, let's get the algorithms moving here, man. It means more revenue. More revenue. We could use more revenue. All right, so things built up, and people suddenly discovered that, hey, I could find fault with just about anybody on here, and it will benefit your channel. Benefit the channel. And it did. A lot of people are making a couple of coins in their pocket by pushing the drama. But it's all trash. Trash talk. Never the walk, but always the talk. People even found themselves in some really bad situations as a result of doing so. I believe, I was watching a little thing about the Jerry Springer show on Netflix. What was all behind that? What they got to get these weird people? One guy married his horse. Practically making out with the horse on stage. People were showing the genitalia. It was crazy. I showed my ass. I mooned Gary, which I thought was a monumental moment. I was very proud of. I was actually proud of that. When I give a message, I give it good, okay? I leave it in your thoughts, and I leave it in your imagination and your memory. So if you're going to present something on your show, present it. Tell the story like it is. And you can put a little choreography now and then on there to please your viewers, but I think there's a limit, really, on what you could actually do and go and do on YouTube. I still believe that. I'm not a person who, I don't believe I'm immoral. I do have morals as far as a turpitude. Some don't. Some don't. There's a limit, though, what I'll do on YouTube, okay? Some people have no limits. None. But on the Jerry Springer show, they had these guests on, and this guy was in a relationship with two women. I don't know what happened. There's a murder after that show. I think that really happened. So there are consequences to anything you do for a show, the Jerry Springer show. YouTube show, no fucking difference. There's no difference between Jerry Springer show and YouTube. There's none. You got the same people who watch Jerry Springer, 82-year-old guy getting his jollies off on watching the show, If he got lucky, he got to see a little nudity, which you never seen on TV at the time. You know, anything to make a show. The producers were like rocking in their chair, rock and roll. This is it. Jerry Springer became famous. He even got his ratings higher than Oprah, which is like an almost impossible thing to anybody to do. And he did. Now, he didn't try to cure anybody's problems on the show. He wasn't there. I mean, he invited on the show to tell their story and tell their problems. But as he said, how eloquently said, I'm not there to solve these people's problems. I'm not there to cure his problems. I'm here to present a show, a show. And he did. Made a lot of money on it. I forgot. I think did Jerry Springer die? I think he did. Was that him that died? Anyway, I put the show on specifically because I was just watching some on Netflix until Gilda came home. And I needed to talk about this because I saw the similarity between the Jerry Springer show and YouTube. There's no question about it. YouTube is another version of Jerry Springer. You know, people like to let their freak flag fly, as you know, Jerry Springer show did. If something happened on the show, they blamed Jerry Springer, but it wasn't Jerry Springer. It was his producer, whatever, that got the people on the show. Jerry didn't. Jerry just put on the show and he let people be themselves. I used to think that everything was choreographed. They brought him into the green room. They brought him into the green room first, and they practiced with him. This is how you got to talk. This is how you got to do this. This is how you do that. No, my show is raw. If I ever choreographed something, yeah, it was practiced. And there's a few times I did. But otherwise, I'm myself, you know, and I could be spontaneous. Now, the Jerry Springer show was meant to get people's reactions. And a lot of people put shows on here for that reason. We want to get people's reactions. Let's talk a little shit about this guy. Maybe it'll just catch on. All right, Fisto's first one in. Philippines YouTube scene is the most toxic in all the world. It's 90% people who desperately wish they had been there, and 10% people that are there that are broke and nothing to do to make trouble. Well, you spelt that out and you hit the nail on the head, Fistos, whoever you may be. That's what it is. Illuminar is back. YouTube is like WWE wrestling. Nico is a world champ. You're the announcer, maybe. That's all it's been. I'm just the announcer. That's all I am. I shed my information on my viewers. Where does my information come from? From you. For people who have shows on. For people who get on camera otherwise and they demonstrate. They talk. They do something that's usually stupid and regrettable later, but they do it. My information doesn't come out of the air. No, I don't pull it out of the air, out of my hat. It comes from the YouTubers themselves. And you know the cast of losers on here. You know who they are. You know what they said. You know what they've done. No lying going on here. I don't need to. It's full of losers. Then when someone as ballsy as myself comes on, I don't have to be over 6 foot tall to be ballsy. I don't have to be 6'8" to speak my mind. I don't have to be a muscle man 7 foot tall to come on and say, here's what it is. Here's what it is. I'm going to show you what it is. I'm going to tell you what it is. And you may not want to hear it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And you could like what I say, or you could tune out. And that's all it really comes down to. At the end of a Jerry Springer show, perhaps, you know, it's on for half an hour, whatever it's on for. It's over with till the next show. He displays people at their worst. And I don't like to concentrate on people at their worst, but I expose people at their worst. There's a big difference. And people, you know, all the world's a stage. What was it, a Shakespearean? All the world is a stage. Is a stage. And it's so true. And this is our stage out here. It's my staging. But the difference between my show and others, what differentiates between me and other shows, is that I'm not afraid to tell the truth. I'm not afraid to take action. I'm not easily intimidated. Now, to tell you the truth, if I didn't have my shows and screwed up like I did in the past and took my own show off by accident, I probably would have at least 200,000 subscribers by now. And if I was monetized, I probably would be making some pretty decent money. Well, that didn't happen that way, but that's okay. Fisto says, I'm surprised, says Style. That they say he's trying to make a comeback, but I don't know. I'm surprised Says Style is trying to make a comeback after associating himself with B-Bots after he was arrested in a hotel with 2 girls, a camera, and XXX toys. Well, B-Bots hasn't been on, has he? No, Says Style, gentlemen, all this guy, he's another fucking Jerry Springer guest, he should have been, talks about masturbation. And, it's funny for a while, but then it's all he talks about. And I think perhaps that's what he does. Maybe he's a professional masturbator. He's got to talk about it. I don't know. He had a dry sense of humor. That's the only way I can describe Says Style. He had a dry sense of humor. And some people took to it. They just liked him walking down in Angeles and talking to all the lady boys, and people got off on that. I mean, maybe literally got off on that. And even while he was going out with that one girl, was it Lynn? Poor little thing. Poor thing. She walked behind him. I've seen the shows. She's walking him in the street. She used to be forced to walk behind him. And then she'd be seduced into the bars with him, and he would go on and all his debauchery and stuff in front of Lynn. It was disgusting. It really was. Yeah, Lynn had a great body. She divorced him. Can you blame her, really? The guy was really perverted, man. I mean, he really was. I mean, I don't think anybody will disagree with me on here. That guy was perverted. He's a moneymaker. We don't know what he makes, really. I guess he comes from a fear-to-do family or something. He's very involved with, trying to create ways of making money. He's kind of an entrepreneur, according to him anyway, but I don't believe anybody anyway, so it don't matter. But Jerry Springer Show is exactly what YouTube is. If you think different, then you must be new because you haven't been around for a while. She seemed nice. Lynn seemed nice. She seemed very nice. See, I'm not talking bad about everybody. Lynn seemed nice, But I don't think he treated her very nice. Having her walk behind him, I've seen that many times. And bringing her into his element. His element was sleazy fucking bars. Not that there's anything new with some of our popular YouTubers, you know who they are. There's nothing new about that, but this is what Says Style did, since you mentioned him. It's not the topic here, but it is the topic, really, because we're talking about YouTube being the, successor, I would call it, to Jerry Springer. It still is. There's nothing changed. In fact, I think it's gotten worse. But think of all the people that get hurt on here. I mean physically hurt. You don't hear all the stories in the world about things that have happened to YouTubers. No, you don't hear everything. It's impossible to hear everything. People have actually gotten seriously injured, killed over YouTube. Social fucking media, man. YouTube. Social media. As I said, people don't socialize in person anymore. Everything's on their phone. There's African tribes that are running around with fucking cell phones, and where the fuck they get their money for it? Zumbangi tribes or whatever. Swahili tribes. Whatever the hell. Walking around with fucking cell phones, and you wonder where they get the fucking money to buy it, number one. Where do they get the money to fucking maintain, their loads and data? And they need money for food, but they all got cell phones. All of them. All of them, George. They all got cell phones. Kramer, why does everybody got cell phones? I don't understand it. Elaine, explain to me. People can't even afford to eat, Elaine. But they all got cell phones. Cell phones, Elaine. Isn't that true? Am I bullshitting or what, man? Look, you can't bullshit a bullshitter, man, okay? Oh, gosh. But that does make you wonder, doesn't it? I was watching, I don't know, these documentaries and shit, right? The guy is like, oh, okay, one of the things, he was a snake hunter guy. He was a snake hunter guy. They had one of those shows on, And he used to go after dangerous snakes. People call him up and say, oh, man, we got a cobra here. And this was like in Africa. It was Africa, in fact. And he'd be called over their houses to, get rid of these cobra snakes. And in the crowd, all you seen was it's like a bunch of Japanese tourists who got off their plane and their cameras, in the old days, their Nikons and their Pentaxes and everything. They were clicking away. And here he is, you got this Zambuzi Bongo Hongo tribe, wearing barely nothing, but they all got cell phones in their hand. All got cell phones. They're snapping away just like the Japanese tourists always do when they get off the plane. Talk about stereotype, and it's true. Japanese take pictures of everything. The minute they visit a country, snap. But then again, things are kind of caught up, and everybody's doing that now. You can't find anybody with a camera that ain't documenting something. Are they going to document terrible things that are happening, but are they going there to help the people? Which reminds me of another episode of Seinfeld, where some fat guy was getting beat up near his car or something, and Jerry and, George and Lane or whatever at the time, they're just sitting there, standing there making a commentary. Look at this fat guy, and they didn't go in there to help the guy at all. They just found humor in it, man. They found humor. Yeah, Vandiver? They just found humor in it. So somebody's killing another person. It's just like in the Philippines. It's no different, man. Some accident goes on in the street, a bus or something. And then, they're not helping anybody. Everybody gathers in the crowd and their phones are all out. Their phones are all out. They're not helping. Let somebody else do it. I gotta get this because I gotta put it on my Facebook. Isn't that the truth? Am I lying? That's what it is, guys. The purpose of my show started off one way, still was, ended up a certain way, still was my grassroots of here, getting information out, what's it like out here, blah, blah, blah. But I've always tried to be that way, to document people. Because, when I was really involved in my photography, I documented people. I met people. I photographed people. It's what I did. I took fantastic character photos of people. I brought out their personality. That's what I did. That's what I was good at. And I'm good at this on YouTube. I bring people out like cockroaches. I spray the cracks in the fucking wood. And they all come crawling out. It's what I do. I have a knack for it. I read people very well. Let's put it that way. I let people destroy themselves. I'm not destroying anybody on here. And I'm not hurting anybody on here. Nobody. But they want to hurt me. And meanwhile, you don't see when I turn off my microphone many times, and you don't know why, because I'm usually laughing at something or a comment that somebody made. Yeah, you were in that movie. Oh, which movie? Oh. So I just let people be themselves. That's all I do on my show. And there's no crime in that. I allow people to be themselves. And whether they come out of the cracks in the wall and expose themselves as being very ugly, both externally and internally, they do it all themselves. I'm just their catalyst. That's all it is. Oh, green. Oh, gray. Well, it's Gray Gardens, actually. No, I wasn't in that movie, but I should have been. Well, the more current one that was in, you know, not the original documentary. Well, actually, Edie and her family, her mother was actually in there. This was remake with Drew Barrymore, and so um, well, I tried to, but everything was written in already, and I could have maybe, perhaps at the part of the photographer that came by to see her and blah blah blah. I kind of wish they would have written that in there, but they didn't. But it was a true story. I did meet her and befriended her, and there's no negative things about Edith Beal or her family. That's all bullshit. That the relatives, with this and that, have said about me. That was all bullshit. That was all written up by somebody. The relatively short time I known her, I mean, she was a friend. Shit, I had personal letters from her that I sold on eBay, but there was profiteering. They were talking about profiteering on this woman. I had actually a sheet, a signed model paper from her, said that I could do whatever I want with the photographs, put them in a magazine, sell them on eBay, whatever I wanted to do. I had permission. This was not against her wishes. In her living days, that was an agreement. And I always made sure it was just an index sized card. I don't have it now, but it was an index sized card that basically said model release. And that was stereotypical, say model release. I, so and so, Edith Beal, give permission to Frank, blah, 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 to use my photographs. She gave me permission to use her photographs. And people talk about profiteering. Well, what are they doing on YouTube? They're all profiteering from their channel, aren't they? Are they not? Okay. That's all they're doing was profiteering. Well, I met Drew through Michael Soucy, S-O-U-S. Look it up, Sousy, and Michael Soucy was the director of that movie. And this was actually in Long Island, but it was not in East Hampton, where Edith Beal lived. In fact, they didn't even photograph the videotape to show, but I happened to be in Long Island for another reason. But the way it worked was that they photographed this in Toronto. No, was it Toronto? It was Eastern Canada. It was up in, because they did a lot of filming up there. And they actually built a recreation of the set of Grey Gardens. It was fantastic. I know, I've actually been in the house. And you don't know what a thrill that was for me. It was like walking into a novel. There's a lot of history in that house. It's shit like that that turns me on, man. It's shit like that that just really gets me juiced up, man. That's a drug. You gotta understand, this woman, and I don't want to do a show about her, but this woman, she was actually Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy's first blood cousin. Shit, the woman was courted by J.P. Getty and Howard Hughes. Jesus Christ. I got to see all the 23 rooms in the house, the maids and cook's quarters downstairs. Every scene that you saw, if you ever saw the movie, I was there. I sat at her wooden, broken down kitchen table, literally breaking bread with her. It was like a tuna pate while her cats were walking on there with Wonder Bread to make a sandwich out of it. And a can of Budweiser beer. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, we talked about the Kennedy family. We talked about Jackie. We talked about the president. We talked, and a lot of personal information that I'm not going to reveal on here. Yes, the place was run by cats and had raccoons in the attic. I've seen what do you call a room with the piano, and they had the bookshelves. The ceiling was caving in even at that time. I mean, they had cleaned up the place because and they make jokes about this Grey Garden stuff all the time on here. No, there was no real tension with her family. The only thing I had tension with, let's might as well straighten it out, is the other Bouviers that were still alive. Now, I want you to understand this is key and critical. These people did not bother with her. Okay? Here's where the friction came in. Here's the truth. They did not bother with her. They were down and out and eating cat food at one time. But the Bouviers, there was a man and his wife. They never visited him. They never cared. They never offered to help him. But by golly, when she died, they were all over the internet. They were recreating things that they felt that Edith used to wear. They were selling off things like you wouldn't believe. Some of them managed to get, there's a painting of Edie's mom, same name, Edith, hanging on the wall. And you've seen that in the movie. And guess why that picture was there, that painting? Because of me. Because I got to have that beautiful painting of Edith's mom, gorgeous painting, and they needed it for the movie to make it more reality, more authentic. That's the word I'm looking for. But that was taken by the greedy relatives, the ones that never helped her out when they were eating cat food. That's what that was all about. She was a good woman, intelligent as fucking hell. And she knew the law too. She could have been easily a paralegal. People made fun of her because she was quirky. The gays loved her because there was a certain flair she had of fashion and everything. So she had a real gay following too, on top of straights. And she never got to leave the mansion because her mother kept on drawing her back. She wanted to go out and be in show business. She wanted to dance and sing. But her mother was alone because her father had left her many years before, many, many years, and left her with a $60,000, which is a lot at the time, inheritance. And they went through that money. And when they did, everything fell apart in the house. Everything. They couldn't upkeep the maintenance of the outside. It looked like when wood gets old and gray and the paint falls off, it looked like an old barn. The inside ceilings were falling down. Holes in the attic space. Raccoons were coming in. Just a place that you would love to walk around in the rooms, just to mention more detail. Okay? Where her brothers, Edith's brothers, their rooms, everything was kept the way it was. There was a typical classic guitar, laying against the bed. Laying against the bed. Everything was the same. It's like you were walking into history. And I love shit like that, man. I love stuff like that. She wasn't that hot. Nah. Maybe for that time. I mean, look, I don't know, the buff whatever haircut and all that, bouffant haircut, Well, she married Onassis, man. I mean, Jesus Christ. Jackie only helped them out because of embarrassment, because it went to the press. The Kennedy's relatives living in squalor was the title all over the news. So Jackie had to come over and she had to help out. From that point on, maybe she helped pay her electricity and stuff. But she came there. She had the place cleaned out. It never stayed that way, but they moved tons of stuff. They didn't bathe that often because sometimes their water was shut. They didn't pay the water bill. The bathtub was filthy, like, Fazio when he actually had a place in Florida. And I'm the one that introduced these photographs of the inside of the place he had over in Florida, where the paint was peeling off the walls. The tub was filthy. The toilet was orange in color and black. Yeah, I produced those. I did. Not Aloe, not anybody else. I produced those photographs. I'm not too bad in research when I want. I produced those photographs. Nobody else did. I'd expect an award for that, but I'm saying I got the capability of doing my own research too. But just to get off the Edith Beal topic and end off on that, yeah, it was something for me. I wasn't there over her house all the time. I was only there a few times. But we kept in touch otherwise. Letters, like letters. When people sent letters, that's what we did. Did I profit from Edith Beal? Yes, I most certainly did. Nothing wrong with that. Are you profiting on YouTube? Any of you? Do you monetize? No different. The difference is I had permission. I used to sell her photographs on eBay to a lot of people, hundreds of people. When I was going out with this Filipina chick in Hawaii, she thought I was fucking loaded, man. So I sat her down. Hey, watch this movie with me, I said. It was funny at the time. Okay, look at the credit. Hey, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. What was it? Assistant. What was the entitlement on there? Frank Battaglia. She's going, whoa. Then we were going to go out, but I had to check my computer because I sell, there was Edith Beal photographs on eBay. I go, wait. I said, got another order in here. I got another order. So I had to go through this order. And how do I do it? How did I arrange this? Well, somebody would order something through eBay, and they say, give me one print size 11 by 14, or two prints of 8 by 10, or whatever, or 5 by 7s, whatever they wanted. There was a price on each one of them. So I would take their order and I would call a camera shop in Seattle, because I was in touch with this guy. Okay, all the time. I used to take my stuff to be processed by him in the Seattle area, just outside of town in the next city. And I'd say, hey, Dale, his name was Dale, I need two 11 by 14s of image number 3, okay, or 3 8 by 10s of image number 27. And he knew because he had the sheet there, and they were marked off. And I could just tell him image number 7, number 20, number 31, whatever it might have been. Whatever it might have been. Okay, so he would basically print this up for me, and he wouldn't mail it to me. He would mail it to the person, no matter where they were in the United States. I'd pay for the postage. I'd pay for the prints. I was giving him business. He didn't mind. He actually found it very interesting, the pictures anyway. That's how I did it. I was active on eBay. Not just with the photographs, though, those particular types. There was other photographs, too, but mainly. I made a little money in that. I wind up selling most of my negative collection for 40,000 US dollars. Simply my negatives. I still got a bunch of negatives here. I didn't sell the whole collection. The guy who bought the negatives was a lawyer. I don't know what kind of a lawyer he was. I didn't ask. But he was a collector. And he was really interested in the whole Edith Beal shit and the Kennedys and all that. So we made an agreement. I got $40,000, which at the time was still fair. It was worth a hell of a lot more than that because you were giving up your work. You were giving this guy carte blanche to do with those images. The images on those negatives no longer belong to me. However, as an art collector, let's say, and I happen to have many copies of these photos, I could sell them on eBay too after all this transaction happened. Because you could possess a piece of artwork. It doesn't have to be photography. It could be a drawing, a painting, and you can sell it. Despite the agreement you had with the person who bought your negative collection, which made those particular images his own intellectual property. Got it? But however, that does not disallow me, and if I had a shitload, which I did, copies, I printed myself. I printed of my own copies, then I'm doing what anybody else did. They're selling works of art of whatever media it might be. I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. Oh, God, it's been a long time, man. Oh, I don't know. I think it was like $25 for the 8x10s. It only cost me about $4 to print it. So I was making profit then, of course. 11x14, graduate to that. Those were selling for about $50 for the 11x14. Not bad. And we paid maybe, $8 or something for the 11x14 to be printed up by that lab in Kenmore, Washington. Not Kenmore. What was the next town up from? Next town up from Shoreline where I lived. Anyway, Linwood. So that worked out pretty good. But my Filipino girlfriend at the time, she thought I was fucking loaded, man. I always said this to her. You have money, you have plenty. That's how she said, plenty. Plenty of money. You have plenty of money. I said, no, I don't. Then she saw me getting orders in. I got to fit, before we go out for dinner or whatever, I got to get this order in. Then before we were going to go out, another one came in. Then, holy shit, it took off. When HBO finally put the movie on, HBO. Holy shit. But that was around the time, actually, I was dating Marlene. Then it took off. That's when I was starting to get a lot of orders because there were people who did not even know who the hell she was. Then they saw that movie. Oh, God. Then they found out there's a photographer out there that actually met the woman and photographed her. And he was offering his pictures for sale. And it took off. I made thousands of dollars. I didn't get rich. I made thousands of dollars. And I had the rights to do it, despite what the trolls say. I had the rights to do it. I had a signed release from her. Profiteering, you may call it? Absolutely. Abso-stinking-lutely. It's something that sleazeballs like Sestyle would definitely do. I know that. But I wasn't being a sleaze over all this. Her own family that had nothing to do. I'm setting the story straight here. I don't have to. I'm setting it straight. I didn't have to, tell anybody. I didn't have to, ask permission from the public to profiteer on this. I had permission from her. Period. The problem was that her family, who was left, and the Bouviers, oh, the lengths they went. Even the gal who lived at the house for a while, she was an artist. Lois Wright was her name. Look it up. Lois Wright. And the guy that actually appeared in the movie was a guy named Jerry. Jerry came out and put a fucking book. He came out with a book, and people bought him like hell from him because he was doing handyman work around there for Edith. But Jerry spoke of a lot of tall tales about things that never happened. Then he got into sculpture. Jerry was like a cab driver in New York City is what he was. And he got to be in a movie only because, and he put himself in there really, because while they were filming, you know, he didn't come by very often to see Edith and her mom when her mom was alive. No, he didn't do that. But when he heard that they were doing a show, a movie, oh, then Jerry popped up. Jerry popped up. Jerry. Hello, Jerry. Jerry popped up and got his face in the fucking movie. And all of a sudden he's a big hero. And everybody's writing about Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. Jerry didn't do shit. In fact, Edith didn't like him. He was a pest. Now, Edith's mother liked him. She used to tease Jerry all the time. She liked him. But Edith herself, Edith Jr., she didn't like him at all. And guess what? There were things missing from, little trinkets and stuff missing from her upstairs dresser. And I can't say that he took anything. But he's the one who was allowed around the house for a while. And who knows? Because we really don't know what happened with that. So I'm not going to pinpoint it on Jerry, but it's very possible. But Lois Wright lived there. Lois Wright was her name, W-R-I-G-H-T. And she lived there. And if anybody had access to anything there, she did. She did. She absolutely did. She certainly did.
You off, Leggy?
I got him on again, yeah. So. And what do you think she did? Take a wild guess, folks. She was selling all her paintings. I mean, it looked like kids' scribble, to be honest with you, and I've seen her stuff. Kids' scribble, elementary school scribble. And she was selling them in galleries in East Hampton, Long Island. Yes, she was. And on the internet. So you want to talk about profiteering? I want to talk about profiteering. Yes, I fucking profited. You damn well bet I did. Yeah. Why did I break up? Oh, geez, because she was nuts. That's why. She was nuts. We were in a car one day, and she got me in a bad fucking mood. She was just nagging at me for something. So I was driving her back home, which is only about 5 miles away. So we're on the, highway. It's not like a big highway thing, it's a main artery to get to the next town where she lived. And she was just kind of nagging at me. I was in a bad mood. And I just hit the accelerator. Rather than slap her in the face, which I wouldn't do, because I wouldn't hit a woman, I just hit the accelerator, and I'd shown that I was angered. She goes, that's not the way to do it. She grabs the fucking steering wheel, wants to send us out of control on the road. That's when my anxiety started. There you go. Now you know. Call it PTSD, call it what you want. But she was for real. She was for real. And she thought I was rich anyway, I had the house. And the only people she dated, they had to have property or house, Her last marriage with a guy was, he was a Portuguese guy. And, although he was married, she twice, but there was a guy that was kind of Japanese Hawaiian or something. But the other guy was Portuguese, the last marriage. And what happened was, they had a house together, and he couldn't take her nagging either. So they got divorced. And she got half the house, which means $270,000, because the house was worth twice that. They divided it. Nice furniture, sleigh beds. And where was she living at the time? She was living at her sister's, kind of a rundown place in Keau, Keaau, which is about 5-7 miles where I lived. She lived in a basement apartment, which was not fancy. I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible. And she could have kept that nice furniture, a nice sleigh bed, compared to what she was living in and on. So she lived with me after a while, a couple of times. I booted her out 2 times. She left paperwork. She always tell me she don't have money, but she had taken almost all of her stuff out of there in a deep closet in my big bedroom in Hawaii, and she still had some paperwork. And yes, I looked at it, and it was banking statements. And this was only one bank. She dealt with 2 of them. While she was with me, she went out and bought a brand new Nissan, what was it? 4x4, or SUV. I got her a deal on that because I negotiated with the dealer. No, it wasn't Paul in the Philippines. I got her to buy this car. She paid cash, like $18,000 at the time. She paid cash. So I saw her paperwork, and she never talked about money. She had in that account alone something like $170,000. $170,000, man. $170,000. Yeah, she's broke. Yeah, right. Okay, so it gets better. Well, she inherited money from her parents too, which of course her other sisters got. So she got, inheritance from her folks. That's what happened. She got inheritance on top of that, and whatever was in her other bank account. She had money. Oh, okay. How do we flavor this? With the olive oil type of spread? Let me see. Ah, it's hot. So she had a lot of money. But she thought I did because, well, Frank had his name on a movie. What did he think I got for that? You know what I got for that? Practically nothing. I think $1,000. $1,000. And what did I get money for? Why was my name on there? There's in big letters too, and it hung in there. You can see my name on it. That was cool at the time. I still think it is. Anyway. Where was I going with this? Got distracted. I don't know what she thought, that maybe I made a lot of money in a movie. Basically, I contributed photographs. And it actually, I helped them create an authentic outfits that Drew Barrymore wear in a movie, that she wore in a movie. Because if you know anything about Edith Beal, there was a famous attire she used to wear all the time. Because she was known for her quirky fashion. That's why the gays loved her and all that shit. She had a whole cult following, man. It's turning out to be the Edith Beal show. Jesus Christ. Besides Jerry Springer. What happened was the relatives, the greedy relatives, they give a fuck after she died. All of a sudden, they gave a fuck. No, they wanted to profit on her. That's what they did. And I did write something against them because I felt that they were not in her life when she needed them. They got to a point they were eating cat food out of a can and making pate out of it. Okay? Follow me? All right. That's all they wanted. But this Filipino chick, she figured, well, he's making money. He's got his name on a fucking movie. Oh, I was continuing to say what my contribution was. Okay. Got off track. I'm eating something right now. So basically, the costume director, designer, whatever, she couldn't find any authentic attire that she used to wear commonly, that she was known for. And I was the only one that actually had pictures that were available I'm not saying they never had any images from any photographer on her attire. If they did, they couldn't find it. But they knew I had them. Yes, Grey Gardens, yes. No, you have plenty. That's exactly what she said and how she said it. You have plenty. Kid you not. So my contributions were that I possessed something they didn't have. It was photographs of her, and it was photographs of her with that attire on that they wanted, because the costume designer had to recreate this attire. Not only was it the pictures, I mean, the attire, but a famous painting on the wall of her mother by same namesake, Edith. A very old painting from the 1930s or something. Well, guess who had the photographs? The very people that were actually really profiteering on her death. So they had to have an artist recreate it. But in order to recreate it, they had to look at my photographs. There's even supposed to be a book out there, and I don't know if the guy ever came out with it. The director, Michael Sousey, is called a Staunch Character. And that's supposed to be the name of the book. And he bought 11 photographic images out of me that he was supposed to put in that book. So when people say, you know, what have you accomplished? You didn't accomplish nothing. Who are you comparing me to, by the way? That's what I'd like to know. Who are you comparing me to? These nut jobs on YouTube? I did quite a bit. In fact, that series of photographs I mentioned before, they are right now in the New York Historical Society permanent collection. Okay? I'll say I didn't accomplish anything. I had photographs in photographic magazines. 12 of them, I believe it was. I had another body of work with the Coney Island Polar Bear Club. A very bizarre study of these people. Took it to a different level than most people who were photographing them on the beach. I took it to a whole new, different creative level. They, too, are in the possession of the New York Historical Society. So my work lives on. Which then brings me to the question, would have anybody out there, the big critiques out there, what have they done? What have they contributed to society? Nothing. No, that's not my photograph. That was made for the movie. No, that was the original documentary, I think. No, that's not mine. Wish it was. I still have negatives right here of photographs that nobody's ever seen. I never used. Right here. I don't know. We're going to do with them once I'm gone. I don't know what the hell she's going to do with all my photographs. Personal photographs, this, that, family, old photographs. She's going to keep them. I don't know. What could I do with them? Nothing. That's up to her. She could burn them if she wants. The one thing I do regret, I mean, I have the negative, but I had this gorgeous black and white. It was entitled Melissa, and that was her name. I'm going to elaborate now. I told the story before. I was a photo student at SVA, School of Visual Arts, New York. And I did a fantastic photo with her. It was a big fucking photo. I enlarged it, had a nice frame. When I had to leave Hawaii, it was a very tasteful nude. Didn't really show her private parts. It was very tastefully done, black and white, soft focus. Even when she got the photographs of me, I seen her on the street. We had to meet up because the idea was they come there and School of Visual Arts pays just a little tiny bit of money for letting the students photograph them and practice. Lighting, all that shit. So I met her. Okay, I'm done chomping on something here. I met her in the street when we had to meet up. We met at Central Park, actually. And I gave her copies of the photograph. And that was when my head really got swollen up. I felt I was doing something that brought joy to somebody, that really made them happy. Because that photograph, of course I got the negatives, but you know what I had to do to photograph before I left? I mean, she looked so beautiful in there, she couldn't believe it was even her. And that shows whether a good photographer or not. I did that with people. I got to know people on a personal level before I photographed them to bring their real character. That's what a photographer, you don't shove a lens in somebody's face. No, that's not what you do. I didn't do that. That's what brings a character out. Get to know them. Let them feel comfortable instead of having an intrusive lens shoved in their fucking face like Philly would do on the streets, That wasn't me. That's not what I did. That's not what I did. So anyway, she received a photograph, and okay, taken back to Hawaii. Years later, I had to get rid of stuff that I can get rid of, man. This big frame photograph, what am I going to do? This is the sad part. The sad part. Because you see, although I have a negative, it's a 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 size negative. In other words, size 120, 120. And I made a fire in a 50-gallon bucket, and I burned it. I didn't want anybody else to have it. It really saddened me I had to do that, but it was too big to take on a plane. The frame was expensive, I sold the frame in a garage sale, but I couldn't take it with me. It was too much shit. Still got the negative, however, I still do. But the time I spent printing this up, dodging and burning, you wouldn't know what that is when you're making a print, dodging and burning and softening certain features on their face, because she had, although she was beautiful, beautiful cat eyes, she had a little bit of a blemish problem. So that's where a good photographer comes in. Never mind this digital shit and everything is digital technology, and every guy and girl in the world is, using this technology to make them look more beautiful, enhance their eyes, enhance their skin color. I did that by hand, bros. I did that with filtration. That's what I did. That's what I did. This was the 75, I believe it was a 2009 movie. Yeah. That's what I did. And I was happy with what I did. Oh, I didn't mind it being this big-time photographer and all that shit, but, people change careers according to their needs. I had moved to Seattle, and I knew I wasn't going to make a living there, but I had to pay the rent. And I wasn't going to do weddings. My heart just wasn't into that. I got offered wedding jobs. Even though I needed the money, I turned it down. I just couldn't, I didn't believe in marriage anymore. It's just, I still don't really in a sense, but in a sense I do. And I kind of proved that to myself. I guess it means something to me, but I have to talk about that. But I just didn't want to do that. I had to take, labor jobs and shit, whatever was available. I had to pay the rent. I had to feed my belly. You do what you have to do. Oh, Frank, you don't have a degree. You don't have a bachelor's degree. You never had a bachelor's degree. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I even showed my I didn't have to do that, but I even showed my, that was as far as I was going to go, show my credits, how many credits I had in SVA, how many college credits I had in New York Institute of Technology, and Shoreline Community Arts when I was living in Seattle. I didn't have to prove anything to anybody. Oh yeah, show me your certificate. Yeah, show you my ass. Oh, excuse me, I already did that. I with no regrets. But it gave people something to talk about anyway. That's what I do. I give people something to talk about. I give you good stories. If I'm going to come on here and do a show like I'm doing now, I'm talking of some interesting shit. How many people out there had interesting lives in any formal way that you know as popular vloggers and idiots and all that out there? How many people have done anything like that? How many people? How many people have met Deborah Harry? How many people have met Alice Cooper? How many people have met this and that and this and that? How many people? I lived in New York. I mean, that was an easy place to meet people. Shit, I worked with a photographer who did a lot of the big ads that you saw on television at the time. Commercials. He got into commercials. Besides print ads, you know. I worked with him on some big campaigns that you might be familiar with. Maybe even today. I got to do this shit, man. And what was that movie? It was a porn movie. He did the kind of the cover photo for the movie. No, it wasn't Devil and Miss Jones. Behind the Green Door, I think it was. And he had the actress coming there. It was just a picture of her very long legs with the fishnet stockings on and high heels. He took that for the movie. Mm-hmm. He took that. He did a lot of popular ads that maybe some of you guys at my age don't remember, but I think he passed away. He was older than me at the time. Very eccentric, you know. He would have a handlebar mustache, and he called himself Matthew Brady Incorporated. Now, Matthew Brady was a Civil War photographer and had a midget as an assistant who would load up the plates and, you know, with the film and all that stuff. And he was even thinking about hiring a midget to be his assistant. I mean, the guy was eccentric, you know, a lot of eccentric people in New York. Just like Andy Warhol, the more eccentric you were, the more creative you were. But I gotta go. Hope you found this really interesting. So I'll leave off as saying, what has anybody else done in it that was that interesting in their life? Seriously. Oh, they'll mock me for this, and they'll mock me for that, and dox me for this. But the truth is, what did most of these people you're very familiar with on here, what did they do in their life that was so significant? Did they make a mark in society in any way? Or the art world, science world? What did they do? What did they do? Ever have their work published? Did they? I don't know of anybody. If there is, let me know. I'm the only one I know that's done something like that. So, you know, whatever. I've done things I'm very proud of. My life was meant for something. I got various types of photographs hanging on people's walls, maybe even today, from how many years ago, hanging on their living room walls. My work, signed, sealed, delivered. How many people could say that? How many people ever got a photograph published in Harper's Bazaar? Oh, this was the UK edition of it. It wasn't the US edition, it was the UK edition. How many people did that? Come, let me hear it. How many? Put your hands up. Number one, you got anything published? I'd like to hear about it. I really would. I like creative people. There's nobody creative on here. They're creative with their fucking mouths. That's about it. All bullshit behind them. Nothing but bullshit. Because they got nothing to show for their lives except, oh, I did a showing, this interesting skit I did on Frank or Barry or somebody. That's all they do. That's all they do, Kramer. That's all they do. Yeah. No, 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 no. Newman. Elaine, you gotta have a bye-bye. Elaine, move to Long Island. Oh, that was great stuff. You gotta have a bye-bye, Elaine. Good shit, man. Really good shit. But you have to be a little bit eccentric in order to be creative. I have a certain amount of eccentricity, and I'm proud of it. I'm absolutely proud of it. That allows creativity both in your photographs, on your show. There's nothing wrong with creativity. Let's see. Oh, you're a little late on my show. I'm getting off here. It was a good show. It was a good show. I'll leave it on for a while. Nothing wrong about hiding this show. Yeah, listen to it after it processes or whatever. Process never shows up on my phone as being processed. Maybe a day later I could see it on there. Unless I put it on a playlist and I could look at it that way after I do a show, but that's about all I could see is on a playlist. But I do get off here. No, you just have to see it afterwards, you know. A very interesting show and very actually informative. So for those that say